out that you had submitted the application before and that you were invited maybe as a potential wild card. So please see me. Thank you.
Well, I think while we have your attention, we might as well start it off now. So I hope, how's everyone's morning been? Has it been good? Good, glad to hear. Yeah, I think it was a fun morning. I got to sit in on one of the panels and I enjoyed myself thoroughly. So now we are going to move on to our afternoon keynote speaker. And I am very, very excited to have him here today, as I hope you all are. We have with us Andrew Yang, who is the founder and president of Venture for America. And I won't introduce it too much, I'll let him do the talking. Just a little background on him. He's currently the founder and president of Venture for America. Before this, he was president and CEO of Manhattan GMAT. And for all you MBA students, I'm guessing you know what that is. For the rest of you, it's basically a industry-leading test preparation firm that was just recently acquired by Kaplan and the Washington Post in 2009. Prior to Manhattan GMAT, he served as vice president of MMF Systems, a healthcare software company based in New York. Before that, he was vice president of business development at Crisp Wireless, a mobile content management company in New York. Andrew also co-founded an internet fundraising company for celebrity-affiliated nonprofits. He's on the board of directors of Prophase, a radar training company serving the pharmaceutical industry, and of Roundhouse, an outsourcing service provider to the fashion and retail industries. Andrew began his career as an associate in banking and mergers and acquisitions at the law firm Davis, Polk & Wardwell. He graduated from Columbia Law School, where he was an editor of the Law Review, and before that he has received his economics degree from Brown University. You know, it's amazing that a lot of people who come from, these fantastic universities and really use their skills to increase their personal wealth. But we're so lucky to have someone like Andrew who's really taking those just amazing skills to increase the wealth of America. So without further ado, please welcome Andrew Yang.
Actually, I'm going to try not to use the mic. So how many of you guys are currently undergraduates, college undergrads? All right, about 40%. How about graduate students? Or recent grads? If you're a recent grad and you're in spirit a graduate student, that's cool. All right. And then everyone else, I'm going to guess, how many of those who do not have your hands up have kids or college-age kids? All right, I'm going to talk to you as if you're about to graduate from college or recently did so, or have kids who might do so at some point in the future. Right? So we're going to go micro and then macro and then micro again. So the first thing I want to do is try and figure out how I can be most useful to you guys. So I'm just going to randomly, anyone just raise your hand, just tell me what it is that you hope to get out of today, and in particular the next 45 minutes. So anyone? Someone be brave.
How to successfully create a startup, a social entrepreneurship startup.
All right. Thanks, Helen.
You're very welcome.
Helen is a ringer. I'm going to grab someone else over here. Yeah. Dimitri, so what are you doing here today? It's a Saturday.
I'm here to learn more about social entrepreneurship and build my network.
Excellent. All right. So Helen and Dimitri are on the same wavelength. Someone else? All right. So when I was a senior at Brown, I guess it's now 15, 16 years ago, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I did what a lot of people do in that situation. I applied to law school. I went to law school in New York with still not that clear an idea of what I wanted to do professionally. So I did what about 85% of my classmates did, which is I went to go work for a large corporate law firm in New York, Davis Polk in my case. So I was in that job for not that long, and my title, as Arun said, it's in my bio. I'm going to demystify my bio. So my title was Associate, Mergers and Acquisitions, Corporate Banking, et cetera, et cetera. So who knows what that actually means? No, really, like someone knows. Yes?
What did you do?
Yeah.
So you probably often got yelled at by bankers for slowing deals down. You were turning term sheets, asset purchase agreements on the legal side. At Young and Tech, or Steven. I go by Big Nasty. But.
All right. So Steven has giant, these walls, and knows the way of the world, and that's a pretty good description. Day to day, what it is that there's young Andrew, a stack of documents, and a conference room, and those are the three elements of the day. So that Thanksgiving, I went home to my parents in Westchester, New York, and I said to my parents, my Chinese American parents, I said, this is not the job you raised me to do at all. When I was a dorky kid growing up playing Dungeons and Dragons, I did not dream about being the scribe. I dreamt about going into the woods and killing something. So my parents, of course, responded, in a loving, supportive way. Not really, actually. They thought I was crazy. So I went back to work, and I quit my job, and I decided to co-found an internet company that helps 1 million nonprofits raise money. It's based on something called a hunger site. Now I think it's more from the freerice.com. You guys actually know what freerice is? Freerice.com. All right, do you want to explain what freerice is?
Right, so you click on the site, and then sponsors donate free rice on your behalf to an undernourished population. So I've been asked to use the mic because we're recording this. So the predecessor to freerice.com came out in like 99, 2000. It's called a hunger site, hungersite.com, where a lot of people made it their homepage. You click on a button, and corporate sponsors then donate on your behalf to an undernourished population somewhere. So, you do a good deed, start your day, no skin off your back, like a button, and someone got some food. So this became a big viral site at that time. So I was between looking at documents, I saw this hunger site, and I said, you know what? There's something that could be done with that. And so what we did is, we had this idea, like I and my co-founder, this idea to wed click to donate with celebrity-affiliated fundraising. So to take an example, let's say Magic Johnson wants to help his foundation. So right now he'll donate one-on-one with Magic Johnson at a charity event in LA somewhere. And so some rich people will attend, and they'll bid a certain amount of money to play one-on-one with Magic. Typically, it's actually not that huge an amount of money, because the people in the room may or may not really think that's that cool. But someone will bid something, it'll raise like $3,000 or $4,000, and that'll be that. So the problems we saw were, one, it's not that much money, and two, no one sees him do it. It's sort of veiled from the world because you have to be in that fundraiser to see it. So what we did is we went to Magic Johnson and we said, hey, Magic, well, this is what we thought we were going to do, and then eventually did. So at this point, in the law firm office, obviously, I'm not talking to Magic Johnson, I'm talking to my parents. What we would do, if we ever got a hold of Magic Johnson, is we would tell him to donate one-on-one with himself online, and then we'll get a bunch of corporate sponsors who'll then donate on the visitor's behalf to his foundation, and then one of the visitors would actually meet Magic Johnson. So from his perspective, it's the same thing it ever was. I play basketball with someone. From the corporate sponsor's perspective, it's a huge win because you get to be associated with both celebrities and nonprofits. For the nonprofit, it's just money and awareness. And for the visitor, it's a chance to meet Magic Johnson, and you do a good deed and it wasn't your money. What do you guys think? Yeah, so that was the idea, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should totally quit my job and do this thing. Because this was late 99, early 2000. It was the first bubble. Those of you who were undergraduates, how many of you guys remember the first bubble in any form? All right, well, I mean, some people have been out for a while, right? But for some of you, it was just your parents looking at CNBC wondering what was going on, right? They were like, why is mommy upset? Or dad. So it was the first bubble, and I said, all right, we're going to build this thing, startgiving.com. So I quit my job, and then I made a PowerPoint deck, and then I went around trying to raise money. Now, raising money consists of just trying to find the richest people you can find, and going to their office or living room with your PowerPoint and saying, don't you want to invest? This is going to change the world. So what they always say to you is, this is very interesting, let me think about it and get back to you. The reason being is that they're not going to say no immediately because they want to keep the option open in case it turns out you're a genius, and then they can say, like, yeah, I'm in, I was always in. So they'll say, but they're not going to say yes immediately because that really doesn't happen. It's like they don't say, yes, here's a check. So I went around for 4 or 5 months with my PowerPoint getting a lot of, this is interesting, let me think about it. Then eventually, 4 or 5 months in, someone actually cut a check for $30,000. And I was very excited about that. At that point, my savings were gone. I was living on ramen, and the company owed me like 4 months of phantom salary because in theory I'd be, I should have been getting paid something. So of that $30,000, I think 12 of it went to me because I was getting paid like $3,000 a month, and it owed me 4 months. So after that first check, other checks started coming in. We ended up raising about $250,000 and got a media company to invest in us. Launched a site. We actually got Magic Johnson, Hootie and the Blowfish, MTV Video Music Awards, and a bunch of other celebrities that are, not A-list, but probably B-list or so. To get in on the launch, we launched to the press in 2000. We were in the New York Times, USA Today. I was on TV with Hootie, talking about how we're going to change the world. So it was a really heady time. And then the internet bubble continued to deflate. NASDAQ went from 5,000 to whatever it went to, I think 1,800, something like that. And so companies like ours became much less viable and interesting because people were much more concerned about trying to hold on to capital than trying to do something that might potentially have an impact. So our company couldn't raise any more money. We had initial sponsors coming in, but then they lost interest too because of the financial climate. And so the company gradually wound down, and we ended up pulling the plug a little bit more than a year later. So what sounded to all of you like a great idea that maybe still even today might have some potential went under 2001. So at this point, I'm 25, 26 years old. I just lost people hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm still in debt for another $100,000 in law school debt because that didn't go anywhere. My parents are trying not to say something like "I told you so," but I saw it in their eyes. But at this point, I was committed to learning how to build a company because I've been bitten by the bug, and as Stephen described my job, like I was never going to go back to that. I was so I decided then to apprentice myself to some more experienced entrepreneurs, which I did over a 5-year period. So when Arun talks about how I was VP of something or other for those companies, there's rampant title inflation in startups. Like you all, could be a manager from day one and then VP shortly thereafter. So I was 26 and just, getting passed around, and then an entrepreneur said, you know what, I like you. You can be my new lieutenant. I'll pay you X. And then we'll be off the races. So I did that over a 5-year period, and at the same time, I started a nightclub party promotion business on the side because I've read a book about how in order to develop, this is a West Point book on leadership, in order to develop, you want to be led and also be leading at the same time. And it's something that I pass along, that it's a great way to develop skills, that even if it's not something huge or a company, even if you're leading something on the side, it's great training. So I started building a business on the side, in part just to demonstrate I could build a business that could make money, because the first business did not. And I said, okay, I'm just going to start a business that's going to make money from day one. And what can I make money at? It's like, I know, I have a bunch of friends who like to drink, and I live in New York, so let's have some fun. Don't worry, they're very clean. There was a bunch of yuppies like going ha 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 and drinking. So I did this over a 5-year period, and also during that time I was connected to a guy who did Teach for America in New York, who then started a company called Manhattan GMAT. That in 2001, 2005 he was building it. Then around 2005 he comes to me, and I've been working with him, we were friends. He says, hey, I want to leave to start a charter school for underprivileged kids. How would you like to consider becoming the new head of the company? So I ended up becoming the CEO of Manhattan GMAT in 2006. The company went from, I had operations in, I'd say, 3 or 4 cities when I joined. It went to 24 cities and became number 2 in the US, potentially soon to be number 1. So around 2009, we were approached by the dominant player in the space, Kaplan/The Washington Post, and they made an offer that Zeke and I ultimately accepted. So after all of the ups and downs, the failed company when I was 25, the 5 years of apprenticeship, and then 5 years running a company, that company was acquired, and I ended up in a position where I was thinking about what to do next. So I'm telling you all this, one, because I want to try and translate my experiences into something that'd be relevant for those of you who want to do something like this in the future and demystify it a little bit. And the second reason is that I want you to have a little bit of a perspective on the underpinnings of Venture for America, why it exists, and what the potential need is. So that's the micro piece. This is like, hey, I'm Andrew, I've done some things, and and now it's Venture for America. So I'm going to stop here for just a second and see if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, ins and outs. And then we're going to do questions later too, but I'll stop here for a second. Questions? Yes?
You said you raised $30,000 and then all of a sudden you skipped over to having $250,000. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Oh yeah, no, sure. So the question was, hey, how'd you get from 30 to 250? That sort of seems like a lot. Those were heady times, heady times. I miss the bubble. Some might say we're back now. But, so, a couple things to that. The first is that if someone writes you a check, it makes it a lot easier for other people to write checks. It's just the way of the world. So if you're going to raise money, the first thing you have to do is figure out who you can get a check from that other people would find credible. You need the one check. People require some degree of social proof / reinforcement, and it'll make them feel just a lot better about writing you another one. So if you have someone who writes a 30K check, I think the next check we got was also 30K, and then someone else invested 100, and then we were most of the way there. So if you're thinking about raising money, think about the people you can go to who you think you can get to write a check from, and then you can present it to someone else as something that's happening, that's inevitable, and that they should support it too. So that's, I hope that addresses that a little bit. It is true though, 30 to 250 was a leap. Yeah. Other questions? Yes?
Was practicing yourself kind of a good way for you to grow into what you want to be? I mean, I've heard a lot of my friends from business schools, and a lot of other people said, no, the best way to do is actually just go out and be in practice with something, kind of learning, or doing it yet.
I